happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Some trails are happy, others are blue. It's the way you ride the trail that counts. Here's a happy one for you. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Until we meet again. Made a bit of a muck at the ending there. Anyway, not so coincidentally, that is the ending. That is the ending of every Roy Rogers show that was on TV. It was written by his wife, Dale Evans, and I think Smiley Burnett, who was his comedy sidekick, who incidentally was a great instrumentalist, a multi-instrumentalist. Getting off the beaten track there for a bit, I'm afraid. We're really here to have a look at this Mahalo Les Paul model ukulele, and I sang that little bit of Happy Trails just so you could hear what it sounds like acoustically. And as you see, it's an okay ukulele. It's not a great acoustic ukulele, but that's not the point of it. The point of it is it's an electro-acoustic ukulele, so we can plug it in and amplify it. Let's just look at the other physical acoustic aspects of this instrument before we get into plugging it in and seeing what it sounds like electrically. But let's imagine first of all what is a Les Paul instrument. Anyway, for those of you who are uninitiated, Les Paul was a fantastic country stroke jazz guitarist who was responsible for designing one of the first solid electric guitars ever made in the early 50s, and it was taken up by the Gibson Company and made ever after to this day as the Gibson Les Paul model. And incidentally, also for those uninitiated, it's not Les Paul, it's Les Paul, because his name was Lester Polfus. So there you are. There's a bit of the in stuff for you. And his original guitars that he experimented on to come up with his solid electric model were actually Epiphone guitars. And I mention this because you see this headstock here, we have a little nick in the top, lovely little volute there, but it's off centre. It's not in the middle where it is on the Gibson guitars, and that's because it was on the original old Epiphone guitars, I figure. Anyway, while I'm up in that necker of the region, notice I called it a headstock and not a peg head or a machine head. It should be a machine head because these are worm and pinion machines, tuning machines, and so therefore the headstock is the machine head. I say that because lots of people nowadays call the actual tuners machine heads. Why, I know not, but there you are, it's totally illogical. Another little bit of in stuff is that these tuners, which were made by originally by the Clouson company, which are rather nice aesthetic sort of tulip shape, are also bear the nickname, the ignominious nickname of Mintos. And that's because they're the colour of Nuttall's Minto chocolate sweets, I should say. Anyway, enough of this hilarity. Let's get down to cases. What really makes it a Les Paul copy is not really to do with the body, because this is an acoustic body as opposed to a solid wood body, but the shape of it, which is pretty much guitar or ukulele shaped, apart from the cutaway part there, which we'll talk about in a minute. And let's talk about the physical aspects of it before we talk about the electric aspects of it. These big trapezoidal shaped markings on the fretboard are atypical of a Gibson Les Paul guitar, and also the fact that the fingerboard is bound. It's got lovely ivory coloured binding, which helps you to slide up and down the neck with great alacrity. And if you look here on the driver's side of the binding also has tiny little dots in corresponding to the markings on the front of the fingerboard, so you don't have to be looking at the fingerboard to know where you are. Right, now let's get down to cases. What's really unique and Les Paul-y about this neck is the fact that most soprano ukuleles, most models, have a 12 fret to neck, 12 fret to body neck. I'm getting it backside first. Some of them only have 12 frets. They don't have any frets at all on the belly of the instrument. But the vast majority of them join the neck, join the body at the 12th fret. This has 14 frets clear of the body, giving you extra playing room. And now we see why we've got that cutaway. This is to allow you access to those top frets. So if you fancy your chances up in those little fine frets, they do actually play. If you there we are, right up to the 19th fret. Doesn't sound very good acoustically, but electrically it'll work fine. So that's one of the main features that make it Les Paul, because he was responsible for giving you more playing room on the fretboard. Anyway, let's get down to the electric side of it. The pickup is what's called a transducer pickup, which is based on the principle of crushing a certain kind of semi-precious stone to make this pickup, and it underlies the bridge saddle. While I'm in that neck of the wood, I'll just go off at a tangent for a second and say, please notice how that bridge saddle is castellated. And the reason is for that, it's what we call compensation. It gives, in particular, the third string, which is the thickest string, a longer sounding length, which is what helps the intonation. It helps it to play in tune when you're fretting it. So that's a little plus factor. Right, so the pickup is under there, but the pickup needs to be what shall we say, kick-started, and it's done with, in that little trapdoor, under that little trapdoor there, there's a PP3 battery, which is a 9-volt battery, next door to the input where you put your 1/4-inch jack lead in, and that's what fires up the pickup and also activates the tone and volume controls, which are on the other side, the driver's side of the thing, as I called it. Right, so volume is sort of self-explanatory. Make it louder or quieter as you wish, but tone is something which is a bit nebulous. Tone really, in this sense, means a treble tone. So if you want it to sound it more guitar-like, you turn up the treble tone. If you wanted to be more mellowy and ukulele sounding as I do, I turn off the treble tone. And to hear this amplified, I'm not going to actually amplify this instrument, not because I can't amplify it, because it works fine, but because it's got a high 4th string. And to play it melodically and get the benefit of the pickup, I think what you really need on there is a low wound string as opposed to a high string. So here's one. Before I show you one I prepared earlier, I'll just say that being a new ukulele, it comes with this rather swish leatherette gig bag, which is fleecy lined, and they're very tough and last a long time. I know that because I've had one for about 5 years, and that's why I say here's one I prepared earlier. I actually prepared this about 5 years earlier by putting a wound string on. I tell you what else I did to it as well. I also put strap buttons fore and aft to put a thin leather strap on, which gives you a lot more control when you're playing. It's like having a third hand. See, I put that one into the heel block, which is I'll just show you where it is. Okay, which is the best place to put it because you're drilling into the short grain of the wood. Don't put it on the side or it will split. Right. The other thing I did for this is put a little pick guard on, which I copied from the shape of the actual Les Paul guitar there. And as you see, I made it in the same coloured plastic with the white edging as this beautiful vintage Sunburst, as they call it. All the rest is black, but the front is vintage Sunburst. Right, now get down to cases. I've got it plugged in here to an amplifier, but your electric instrument is only really as good as the amplifier you get. So as well as tone controls on the amplifier, as well as the treble control, I've also got a middle and a bass. Now you don't really need that much bass on a ukulele, but it does help to have a middle control because that's what keeps it sounding acoustic. And but we've got another little gizmo in this amplifier, which is a reverb unit, and a reverb gives you an echoey sound, which you're going to hear in a minute. So here is the thing acoustic with the low 4th string. Now when I switch it on, I'm going to invoke all these other controls. It's not that louder. I'm not going for volume. What I'm going for is a difference in tone. And also, can you hear that reverb, which and that gives it a sustain, which helps you to tie together the melody notes when you are playing single string melody. So that's A, why we want the wound string, and also B, why I'm going to use a pick now instead of my fingers. I could play with my fingers obviously, but I want to get the absolute maximum benefit out of being plugged in here. So to finish up with, before I actually say what I'm going to do, I say if you've got any more queries, as per all my other auctions on eBay, or if you're just looking on YouTube, if you've got any queries, please do not email me, but do please ring me, telephone me. The number's on the auction, and I'll shoot the breeze to you. Heart's content, but I hate one finger typing. So there you are. So I'm going to finish off with Happy Trails again, but I'm just going to play it this time so you can hear it above the singing. So I'm not going to be self-indulgent. I'm just going to play it this time, and then hopefully you can see the benefit of having an electroacoustic instrument, and you might go by the previous one that we've just seen. Okay, happy trails until we meet again. Happy trails.